Hager here with Call Center Week, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Shai, who's the CEO of Fonolo. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you do and what your product is?
Sure. Fonolo is a callback solution for the call center. So basically what it means is when callers call in and there's some wait time, they get the option to press 1 for a callback instead of waiting on hold. It's a really old idea. It's been around for a long time. But what we've done at Fonolo is made it really easy for any call center to add with very little effort, nothing to install, and nothing changes in terms of call center operation. Our goal is just to have every call center in the world offer callbacks to their callers. We think it's a win-win solution for both the callers and the call center.
Absolutely. So let's dive right into the questions. Fonolo has made a name for itself for being cutting edge. So congrats. Starting with its consumer offering way back in 2008. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey that's caused major waves, anything that's happened significantly since then? I'm sure there's a lot, so.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, and it's funny because, my co-founders and I, we just dove into this. We're from the call center industry, and when we initially set out, we just wanted to tackle the really poor experience that most people have when they're calling into call centers. So we wanted to get rid of the experience of dealing with the IVR, press 1 for this, and press 2 for that. We wanted to get rid of waiting on hold. We just imagined some kind of system where if you wanted to reach your cable company or your gas company or your airline, you could go to an app or you could go to a website and you could just click and get an agent. And we thought we could just build, behind the scenes, a system that would map out all the IVRs and do the call for you, get an agent, and connect you. So we launched it, as you said, in 2008 to great fanfare and tons of press coverage, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
People thought, wow, if you could really remove that pain, that would be amazing. And so we had great attention and a lot of uptake from consumers, and we got to 500 companies or so in our directory, and it was really exciting. But there was a little matter of making money. So we were searching around for a business model. Yeah, still part of the landscape. You got to figure that out at some point. And so as we were doing that, companies started coming to us because they had heard all this buzz, and they said, we'd love for this kind of experience to live on our end. And so in 2010, we reconfigured the technology to be an enterprise software product that basically became the cloud service that it is today. And since we did that, it's really been an amazing pace of progress with the company and lots of success. And we really enjoyed learning about the call center industry and helping companies make the experience better for their customers.
Absolutely, and the technology is really the foundation that enables the agents to create and build an amazing customer service experience. So
it's true. Agents have a hard job. We really don't. Props to the agents. It's tough to keep a cheery disposition and deal with customers that are often angry and belligerent, and just do that stuff day in and day out. It's hard. So
Absolutely.
If technology can help them, that's a good thing.
Will you tell us a little bit about how callbacks are positively affected, call center metrics, how they positively affect call center metrics like abandon rates and FCR?
Sure. So the first benefit of adding the callback option is you get happier customers. That's sort of the obvious thing as well. People hate waiting on hold, so you take that away and you'll get happier customers. But as we did more and more deployments, we learned that there are secondary effects on other metrics that are important to the call center. And in many cases, these are important to call center managers because they've got targets to hit and reports, and they've got to show ROI. So one of the issues is abandonment rate. And an abandoned call is when someone dials in, they're on hold, they lose patience, they hang up. So that's an abandoned call. And so that percentage, the abandon rate, is a very closely watched metric in the call center. And as you imagine, if someone gets a callback option and they take that option, then they're not going to abandon.
Right.
So we've had great success reducing abandonment rates, 20, 30, 40%.
Oh, that's incredible.
When we deploy. So that's one really important metric. We've also shown that callbacks can reduce the handle time, the amount of time agents have to spend with a caller, and that's because callers are more pleasant when they reconnect and they don't spend time venting about how long they waited on hold, which I'm sure you never do.
No, never. I never complain ever.
Other callers feel like wasting more time with the agent explaining why they had to wait on hold is a good use of time. So that's good, reducing handle time. And both of those feed into improving first call resolution, and they feed into improving Net Promoter Score, NPS, which is another really important metric that call center managers watch.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about an example of how a contact center has implemented your technologies and reduced abandonment rates. Can you tell us maybe something of
Sure.
On the
Sure. Well, the example that's right at the top of my mind is Suddenlink Communications, and they're at the top of my mind because we just had their VP of call center here at the show talking yesterday.
Perfect.
To a packed room and a really receptive audience, and he was talking about deploying Fonolo. Suddenlink is the 7th largest cable company in the U.S., and they have call centers spread out across many states. A very elaborate, complicated call center setup, as you can imagine. They've got to deal with people asking billing questions, obviously, but also router setup and internet outages, and they sell home security and all kinds of products. It's a complicated service that has a lot of generates a lot of questions from people that agents need to answer. So they added Fonolo mainly for the cases where something unexpected happens, like there's a widespread outage and calls come in suddenly, there's a spike of calls. And actually that's a very common situation for us, where people will say, our hold times are fine most of the time. We've got enough agents covering, on staff so that people aren't waiting more than a minute or two on hold. So we meet our targets, we meet our service level. But we have situations, either it's a seasonal thing, or it's start of the week kind of thing, or it's
natural disaster maybe.
Exactly. Well, the story that Gibbs told, the fellow from Suddenlink, they had a backhoe that took out an internet cable, and so a whole community lost service, and obviously you can't plan for that, right? So you get this sudden flood of calls. And you can't staff for those peaks, because then you'd have all these agents.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd have excess capacity other times. So callbacks are a great solution for handling that, because what it does is when you've got that spike, it helps you take some of the pain out of that by deferring the call, smoothing out that spike. So it's not as concentrated a problem. And in his case, they have when they have Fonolo active, they have a 25% reduction in abandon rates, and that's the metric we talked about earlier. And in the first 9 months since it's been deployed, they've removed 400,000 minutes of wait time from their
400,000. That's amazing.
From their callers.
That's great.
So that's time that callers got back, in their lives to do something useful with.
Absolutely. So I want to talk lastly about what the biggest challenge is facing the industry, but before we get to that, can you talk a little bit about social media and how that's changed customer service?
Sure, that's such a fascinating topic, and I it's something I've been watching for many years. It's really interesting because, at the core of it, it's really about changing the balance of power between consumer and company, because the social media platforms, Twitter in particular, have given people a platform, a soapbox, to complain about customer service. And if you go to Twitter, you'll see a lot of people complaining about waiting on hold and not getting serviced well by agents. And whereas in the past they would complain to their friends and family and coworkers, now when they complain, it's to the whole world. And on Twitter, it lives there forever, and it's searchable, right? So it's it's forced companies to really step up their game. They couldn't ignore that. And what I really love about that story is I'm sure that Twitter never set out with that goal in mind.
No.
That was an entirely accidental, result. There's like an emergent property of this platform that they built. And then I love what happened next, which was that companies started putting agents on Twitter duty, so that people are now using it as a customer service channel.
Right.
Which is also fascinating, because certainly not what Twitter planned when it launched, right, to be a customer service channel. But now companies have to do that.
Same with Facebook too, right?
And on Facebook as well. Companies have to staff people and pay attention to those channels because they're public.
Right.
And if they ignored those complaints, it would look bad for them. So I find it fascinating how, neither side of this equation thought that these tools, these platforms would be in the mix, but we've had to adapt to it. So it's really interesting, and it'll be interesting to see if Twitter finds a way to capitalize on being a de facto customer service channel. As you know, they're facing some troubles now and looking to adjust their directions. I, for one, think that they should really embrace that role and add some specific functionality to keep that mantle as a customer service channel. Because if they don't, there are other channels vying for that attention.
I completely agree.